All right, let's jump to running back. Top five.
So I don't know why he's my number one, but I got Josh Jacobs number one right now.
Not bad.
Actually Derrick Henry,
Hunter
Austin.
Henry.
Yeah, could you imagine? Derrick
That kind
Henry.
of week, that kind of morning, huh?
It's too early. Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, and Jonathan Taylor.
I have Derrick Henry number one, Austin Eckler number
Mm.
two, Jacobs third, Kenneth Walker fourth, and Taylor fifth.
Yeah, I don't know why I have Jacobs out. Like they made Zamir White inactive last week. So I think he saw every single carry, right?
Yeah, he was a monster. I mean, he caught
Yeah,
that.
he's
he caught that. No, like not even just his normal monster self in the run game.
yeah.
He was catching passes. He caught that clutch pass and almost scored to allow the Raiders to send it to overtime. So I mean, he had a monster game, and
Yeah,
they're not really using anyone else except Abdullah here and there to catch a
yeah, the
score.
last time I had him number one, he was facing the Texans. It was a little bit more obvious. The Seahawks are a terrible defense. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting week up top. So it's close, but I was shocked when I have number one, but I'm sticking with it.
Who are you high on?
So I haven't been able to look at ECR yet. So tell me if like I'm high on this guy, but Miles Sanders, I have him as my RB 15
Yep,
to
RB
start the
20
week.
consensus.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so he's coming off back-to-back duds. But they had two tougher matchups against the Commanders, Colts. While they did end up winning, last week against the Colts, they were in a trailing game script for most of the game. So that's just not ideal for Sanders, who he's not really involved in the receiving game. So he has a much better matchup this week against the Packers, where they should be able to kind of build a lead here. And the Packers are a run funnel defense, so I think Sanders is going to bounce back here with a big game. They probably have to go back to him too. They've struggled because they haven't been able to get him going. So I view him as like a high end running back too this week. And then I'm also high on Antonio Gibson against the Falcons. He opens this week as my RB 21. And he continues to dominate the passing downs with JD McKissic out. I mean, that's no surprise. However, he did handle more of the rushing work last week as well. He had 18 rush attempts to 15 of Brian Robinson. So, he also looked like he was about to break like a 15 to 20-yard touchdown towards the end of the game, but he slid down to preserve the win. So he could have had an even bigger game. So this is just a great matchup where, the Commanders are 4-point favorites, the 10th highest team total. And Gibson looks like he's on his way to potentially being a workhorse back. So I'm super high on this week. And again, he's more of a, almost a mid-range RB2 right now based on his underlying usage.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw that he kind of got more of the work than Robinson. Both of them have been struggling from an efficiency perspective, but the volume is there. I mean, that's what that Washington team, that's what they want to do. They're going to try to run the football with those two guys. I am high on Kenneth Walker III. First of all, he is a home favorite against the Raiders, who are 22nd in run defense DVOA. He should be well rested coming off the bye, and I think he's going to get fed the ball here as he usually does, coming off his first really bad down game against the Buccaneers. But he's finally started to do something in the passing game in that one, so it wasn't a total loss. And I just think he's RB8 in consensus. I think that's way too low. I think he's a top 5 back this week. So going with my boy Kenneth Walker III.
Yeah, and he's still the favorite for Rookie of the Year, right? I know
Yep.
Christian Watson has made some noise, but yeah, he's still the favorite. Did you ever get money down on that? I remember that being like one of the bets you were talking about. Right?
Yeah. I think we talked about it because it was like a post-hype kind of bet on Kenneth Walker after everyone was down on him because of the what did he start the year on IR or something like that on the pup?
Yeah, and he started as Rashad Penny's backup. So if and when Penny ever missed time, obviously he was going to pop. But yeah, Walker definitely he was dealing with like an ankle injury, I think, to begin the year, right? Or
yeah,
I
think
yeah,
that's what it was. He missed like the first 2-3 games. Yep.
Yep. But ever since then, I mean, what a beast.
Oh, absolutely. So that's what I'm going with. Who you low on?
I've been high on Devin Singletary the past 2 weeks, but I'm low on him here. He's down to RB 24, I think. They're at Detroit. And the Lions have actually been playing pretty good run defense of late. They slowed down the Packers, both, AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones. Last week they bottled up Saquon Barkley. And this is just a game, Josh Allen could just, light a blowtorch to the secondary. So I don't think they're going to need Singletary much this week. Give him sort of a breather on a short week, save him up for the playoffs. Plus, James Cook has been super involved in neutral game situations lately. So this could be a big James Cook week. Plus, at some point, we're going to see Nyheim Hines kind of chip away at Singletary's receiving usage. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm just a little bit lower on Singletary this week. Well, I was super high on him the previous two. He's more of a low end RB2 for me this week. And then I guess one other guy is just Damian Harris. He actually ended up getting the start. He's finally fully healthy. He got the start. He had the entire first drive, and then after that, it was the Ramondre Stevenson show. So, Harris ended up having a good game. Had over 90 scrimmage yards. But this is not the week to trust Harris as, an RB3. It could be a potential trailing game script against the Vikings. And in that situation, Stevenson's going to eat. But either way, it was a good showing for Harris, but I don't think we can trust him quite yet. He's going to need, the Patriots to be a touchdown favorite or Stevenson to be out of the lineup for us to really trust him. So I'm just urging caution with Damian Harris. So he's my RB 35 to open up the week.
Yeah, he's I got him at RB 40. So yeah, I'm right there with you. He is, it's really, he's not going to do a ton in the receiving game. So he's got to break those efficient long chunk runs, and he can do that. But when you're talking about a guy who's going to be second in terms of carries and not really doing a ton in the receiving game on a week where there's no buys, it just kind of knocks him down.
Yep.
For me, a couple of the stud guys I am lower than consensus on. Saquon Barkley, I have him as RB8 this week. I think that's the lowest I've had him yet. But again, this Dallas defense, I know, you'd rather run than throw on this Dallas defense, but I just don't see the Giants being able to score a ton of points here. And, Barkley has been ceding some of his passing game work to Matt Breida as of late. Ever since he injured that shoulder in week 5, I believe it was, his route participation rate has been trending downward, and it's around 60% after it was around 75% in the first month of the season. So that's got him projected for about 2.8 receptions for me, where earlier in the year we were projecting him for like 4 catches. And when you take a reception or reception and a half away, and you're talking about the Giants nearly double-digit underdogs on the road, there's just not a high touchdown probability. Again, with just nobody on bye, so they're just backs in a lot better spots, like a Kenneth Walker, home favorite against one of the worst defense in the league. His touchdown projection is just a lot higher, and so that's really what's kind of doing it with Barkley, where he's out of my top 5 this week. And similar situation for Dalvin Cook. I know he is at home against the Patriots, but they've actually shored up their run defense. They're playing a lot better against the run, and this is expected to be a pretty low scoring game. The total is only 42.5, and that's kind of odd for a Vikings game. Usually the totals are a little bit higher. So everyone kind of takes a hit in terms of the touchdown projections. And again, there's just a lot of choices this week. So, an ugly game like this, not really feeling Cook as much as I would have been. Also, I think, the Vikings having some offensive line issues as well. So, low on Cook. And another one is Cordell Patterson. He's outside my top 30. He's a consensus RB 25. Just want to fade him against this Washington run defense that ranks number 2 in DVOA. And Patterson's not going to return a kickoff for a touchdown every week, and they're still rotating in 3 backs at the minimum. Sometimes they even will go with 4 if they want to get Avery Williams a couple of touches here and there. So, it's been really hard to kind of predict Patterson's usage. And if Atlanta doesn't kind of break right in terms of getting in close in the red zone and getting a goal line carry, as opposed to maybe a little bit of a longer touchdown or not scoring touchdowns, it'll be tough for Patterson to hit his value because they're using him like more of a traditional early down grinder than that hybrid receiver weapon they were using him early last year.
Yeah, the Cook call is a good call, and it looks like Christian Darrisaw is already ruled out, which wasn't surprising. So
number one
yeah,
tackle by PFF.
Yep. So that's huge. And your Barkley call is definitely a hot take. Do you think though, with Wan'Dale Robinson out, maybe we do see him get back to that 3 to 4 catch game? Like, how are you handling Wan'Dale Robinson being out? Because he was a target hog in this offense. So I just think that Barkley might be one of the pass catchers that benefits.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely could, but another reception or two is not going to completely change his value. I mean, you look at his, the fact that he couldn't get going again at home against Detroit last week, I think is troubling. Yeah, he put up the big game against Houston, but he had 35 carries and he only averaged 4.3 a carry against Houston. That's not even that great. And I just wonder,
everybody has a big game against Houston.
Right. And I just wonder if the shoulder injury earlier in the year, then he gets 35 carries against Houston, and not super efficient, just kind of regular. I just wonder if it's all catching up to him because, and now you're going on a short week, which is another reason, for a guy who had 35 carries a week and a half ago, and then just 15 for 22 at home against what was on paper one of the worst run defenses in the league. I just worry a little bit about Saquon, and he's already had 244 touches this season. He hasn't had that many since 2019, which was his second year in the league, and we're only through 10 games here. So I mean, this guy is carrying a load, and I just worry that it's catching up to him a little bit. So on a full slate, he's my RB8 instead of my RB 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, the Giants have the 5th lowest team total, which makes sense. So yeah, his touchdown odds go way down. So yeah, I could see it. Yeah, I guess I just probably gave him just a little bit, more receiving work is all, but
respect. Certainly makes more respect.
Respect, yeah. I mean, yeah. So no, it just makes sense why you'd be a little bit lower on this week for sure.
All right, what are we doing with the prop?
Oh, we got to go Tony Pollard here. Total rushing and receiving yards. I mean, he is pushing RB1 status even when Zeke is 100%. So let's see. I have an 83.5 total scrimmage yards over under that.
Ooh, that is a good line. I got 86. I'll go over. This guy is just a master of chunk plays. He's like a better Travis Etienne, and Travis Etienne is great, but Pollard is kind of that same type of back. Just he doesn't look super powerful, but he's always slithering out of tackles, and he just covers ground so fast that we could be done with one drive and he could have 44 yards or something like that already. So it's a very good line. I got 86, about 14 touches for him, but I will go over at home against the Giants. He just makes it look so effortless every time he's on the field. And the Giants' run defense has been abysmal.
True. So, I mean, we've seen Pollard in 3 games now without Zeke, and what is he averaging, like 30 fantasy points or something like that? It's a shame, but at least we've seen, even when Zeke is back, they can't go away from Pollard at this point. I know Jerry Jones is paying Zeke a shit ton of money, but he does want to win. So I think going forward, we will see Pollard potentially outtouch Elliott, which is just massive. And that's why I have him in like every league, because he was going to put up RB2 value either way, I think. But just anytime Zeke misses time, I call him a top 5 option. He's like a top 2 option. Yeah, right? He's so good.
I'm sure he made up for Melvin Gordon and Kareem Hunt. Like, it's just having Tony Pollard completely makes up for, because like you would think like he was kind of in that group where it was like, all right, these high upside backups, and it's not been a good year for some of those guys. Hunt, Gordon, Gillen even's kind of been
Yeah, I was gonna say Dylan was the guy.
Yeah, Pollard has just kind of made up for all of it.
That's why you take a lot of swings at these types of guys. They don't all hit, but when they do, they're league winners.
And to your point, I believe it was reported that Dallas is going to give them a more even touch split going forward. And Romo made a good point on the telecast against the Vikings. He was like, if you're running Zeke inside and he's playing physical, obviously he's not super explosive or as explosive as he once was, but you're playing physical with him, and the defense has to kind of guard one guy, and then you take Pollard and you just let him do what he does. Like, it could be just as explosive, and kind of work. It's still it's just a very good offense when you have a guy like that. So I think Zeke being back actually helps him because then Pollard, he can go to the sideline after like 2 20-yard runs in a row, which he breaks quite often, and then come back when the defense has just had Zeke hit him in the mouth a couple of times. So I like the situation there because I think Dallas, with just the offense in general and the defense they have, going to be able to control the ball. So going to be a lot of running back snaps to go around.